Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to another episode. Today I have another interview with a balloon business owner, and this time I'm chatting with Briana from Elevated Impressions. I am a huge fan of her work, and interestingly enough, when I asked what she wanted to chat about, she wanted to talk about veterans in the industry. She wanted to talk about how much she has learned from paying attention to what people have done before her. So it's a really interesting interview. We talk all about some of the legends in the industry, some of the people that have influenced her style and her techniques. And it's a very fun interview, especially if you're newer to the industry and don't really know how old balloons are. We're a newer industry, but still there have been people doing this for 30, 40 years. So many people have started in the last 5 or 10 years, but before us, there were a lot of people figuring things out without YouTube, without online courses, without Facebook groups. They were just figuring things out by attending like one class a year and trial and error. So Briana is really passionate about giving credit where credit is due and paying attention to what people have done to get us to the point where we're at. So it's a very fun interview, and she has a business mind that I admire. We talk all about her exit strategy from her business, some of the behind the scenes, how she runs her studio. She has a lot of employees, so it is definitely an honor to get to pick her brain and chat with her for a little bit. So I hope you enjoy this interview. Before we jump in, let's head over to the U-Glue hotline and then get right into this interview. Welcome to the U-Glue hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks. Brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hello, Sarah. My name is Allison. I am the owner and lead balloon stylist of Marley's Magic Party Factory. We are a balloon styling and party rental company based out of Central Florida. Of course, if you are new to the area or in the area, of course, let's connect. Of course, my question for you is about insurance. I definitely want to talk about insurance. As a newer business myself, I currently do not have insurance. Of course, don't come sue me if you have ever used my services, but all jokes aside, of course, I definitely am eager to talk about insurance. What type of insurance do most balloon companies have, or do you yourself have within your business? Let's talk about ways to protect ourselves, just as we get ready to bring all of these magical events to life. I want to make sure that I am setting myself up for success and building something that is meant to last. Thank you so much for your time and for all the work you do. It's truly amazing. Couldn't imagine being in this position without you, truly. Thank you so much. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Okay, this is a great question, and everyone should have insurance if you are running a business. I know that's not always the first thing that you figure out, but if you are selling balloons, if you are standing on ladders, if you are in restaurants and people's homes and you could potentially fall and get hurt, or you could damage their walls, any of those situations could require insurance. And as you start building your business, you're probably going to be pretty limited on the venues that actually let you in if you don't have insurance, especially if you're in like a city, if you're dealing with loading docks, if you're dealing with large commercial venue spaces, they're going to ask for proof of insurance. So it's better to get it taken care of now and not limit yourself when you get that big job and realize you don't actually have the paperwork that they're asking for. So I use Bomba Insurance. It's BOMBA. And this is just someone who I connected with through the entertaining industry. So I used to be a face painter. And I needed insurance to do festivals and fairs because if I gave some kid pink eye or I poked someone in the face, I wanted to make sure that I was covered. And like I said, most of the time it was required. I didn't have a choice. So I started using Bomba insurance because it was specific to kids entertainment. So it protected me. And then I just expanded that coverage when I moved into balloons. So now it protects my home-based business. It protects me if I like fell off a ladder, if I damaged something at a venue. I just have kind of a big policy that protects me against a lot of different things. Now, I can't personally say if it's any good or not because I've never filed a claim. I've never actually used it. But hopefully that would be the case for most of us. We would hate to have to utilize our insurance, but you still have to have it. So I know other people just go through State Farm or whoever does their home insurance or their auto insurance. I also have additional insurance on my vehicle. So once I bought a delivery van, I needed commercial insurance for that as well. And as I start having my employee Kate do more deliveries, I will also add her to the insurance. So don't worry about all of that at once. I would contact Bomba Insurance. They do a lot of event industry stuff. They're not going to be confused by a home-based balloon business. It's what they do all the time. And I know he represents a lot of people that I'm friends with as well. So that's probably your easiest route. And it's not expensive. I can't even recall off the top of my head, but I think my annual policy is like a few $100s. It's really not much. So it's important to have it. Hopefully you never have to use it, but it's one of those things that's kind of daunting and unknown, but it's pretty straightforward if you know who to contact. So that's my recommendation. And don't beat yourself up that you don't have it yet. You don't know what you don't know, but definitely work towards getting insured as soon as possible. Thanks for the call. Pro Tapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like Pro Gaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, U-Glue, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on U-Glue when you buy directly from Having a Party using code BRIGHT at checkout. Welcome to this episode, Bree from Elevated Impressions. I'm so excited to chat with you. We have connected before, but then it was a long time. We kind of lost touch. So I'm so glad to chat with you again. I'm so impressed with your business, not only what you create, but how you run everything. You have quite a large team, correct?
Yes. Yes, we do. And thank you so much, Sarah, for having me on. When I got the message from you and you said, "Hey, it's Sarah from the Bright Balloon podcast." And I was like, and you said, "Would you be willing to like come on and have me interview you?" And I was like, I literally just fell out of my chair.
That's amazing. So, well, no, I'm so excited to have you. Before we chat, we're going to jump into lots of different things. Kind of an interesting interview. We're going to chat about kind of the history of balloon decor, but through the eyes of a newbie, basically. I mean, you're 3 years in, but give us kind of the scope of your business, how you started, where you're at now, the scale, how many employees. Tell us everything.
Awesome. So the business name is Elevated Impressions. We're based out of Cape Cod, Massachusetts, which is an island, probably an hour, 15 hour and a half from Boston. So you do have to like get over a bridge to get here. And it's a very coastal community, really cool place. And yeah, we're in a town called Sandwich, and we're just super happy to be here and doing business in this town. And I started the business, actually, I came up with the name Elevated Impressions and started the business from the basement of my home, but I was only going to do rentals. So it's going to be donut walls and champagne walls. I had been to a large corporate event that had them, realized that we didn't have them on the Cape, and wanted to just bring something new to weddings and bridal showers and baby showers. We have a $50 million a year wedding industry on the Cape. So I was
I'm curious, do a lot of people travel there to have events?
Yeah, I think the stat is 80% of the special events that happen on the Cape are from people that are not located here.
Oh, interesting. Because I'm in a resort town too. So it's weird. It's like you're marketing to people that you actually don't know where they're coming from. So it's really hard to market to them. So we're similar in that sense.
That's so interesting. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I'll get to it. But our bread and butter has become the relationships that we have directly with venues, venue planners, wedding planners. That's really kind of like the niche that we've carved out here because no one does what we do.
Yeah.
So I was just starting with these rentals, and I was going to do something called vibe curation. So I was working in accounting full time. I was in an accounting firm as like a financial planner assistant. And that was my full-time gig. And so I had said to my husband, I really gave him an entire business pitch, showed him the numbers, brought him out to dinner. He had 2 martinis. I was like, that's the perfect amount. And I think that I can get him to like come on board with this life change that I'm about to do. And he was on board. He was totally on board. And so I decided that I was going to be, leaving my full-time job, transitioning over to something that was a little less overbearing for my schedule because I had a new daughter and just wanted to help support him in his career a little bit more. So February 28th of 2020, I left my full-time job and I had 3 corporate events on the books for this like vibe curation, kind of bringing in different vendors to help create these client events. So 2 weeks later, COVID hit and everything was canceled. And my business plan was a total dumpster fire.
That's like, I know COVID was bad, but like that timing really can't get worse for you.
Yeah, left my whole career.
Oh my gosh.
And I wasn't even necessarily unhappy. I just wanted to I knew that my direct relationships with people representing myself could be so much more powerful than the desk I was sitting at.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to do more and be more in my community. I really, really felt that after having my daughter. Yeah. So I cried in the bathtub a lot. And there were so many other things going on that were uncertain at that time. There was a lot of fear. If you think back to the first 2 weeks of COVID, it was like you're staying in your house, you're going to the grocery store, you're having panic attacks. It was like a very, very scary time. But what I did acknowledge was that I had a creative business. And so I started to really tap into that creativity and thought, like, if people are hurting and people need help, what can I do to positively influence this? And I was like, the best thing I can do is help create and spread joy. So what am I going to do? So I went to the dollar store because I didn't do balloons at this time. You have to understand, I even had the name Elevated Impressions and I didn't do balloons.
Yeah.
So I went to the dollar store. I bought a bunch of balloons off the rack and these big like gift bags. And I filled them all with balloons and I put little tags on them. And the tags were like so cheesy and not very high quality, but it was what I had. So it just said on one side, a bag of sunshine. And then on the other side, it said, tag us in, show us your smiles, tag Elevated Impressions on Instagram. And I filled up these bags. And the first 2 rounds, I just dropped them off to people that I knew that had kids that they didn't know how to keep their kids busy or what to do with them. Then I had people saying, can I send this to someone to help them, feel the joy that we felt? And it happened within like 3 days that I was like, okay, I'm going to sell these bags of sunshine for $25 each. I will deliver them for free. And then I will take that $20 and I will donate it to the hospital to feed our like front line that needs help and support right now. And I'll buy the food from local restaurants who are also scared and struggling. So I became a conduit between a lot of people that were scared and struggling. And all I was doing was filling bags of balloons and delivering them.
Yeah, but you also weren't like making any money.
No, I didn't make any money. And I think that the intention of the business wasn't always to be the most profitable, but it was to influence people to celebrate.
Yeah.
Timing, we talk about the bad timing of COVID and how scary that was, but the timing for my life, like the divine intervention was, Bree, this is your purpose. Your purpose is to help make people smile and spread joy. And it like makes me emotional today because that's what I do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, okay, let's fast forward a little bit. Where are you now?
Yeah. So now I am way out of the basement long ago. And we are in a 1,300 square foot studio. We also have 1,000 square foot storage space because we do rentals still. So we still have the champagne walls and the donut walls, and we have different other rentals as well. And we have a team of 9. And we have 4 full-time, and then the rest are part-time or just breakdown crew, kind of per diem subcontracting.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah. So things turned around, huh?
Things turned way around.
That's amazing.
Things turned way around. Yeah. That's amazing. I always say, like, if you're operating in a community, as a small business owner, it's really easy to go out and expect to like extend your hand and have people put money in it. Like, I did this for this community, you know, I'm here for you. But if you like flip it on its tail and you're willing to give a little more, you'll receive it in abundance. But the mentality is that we're giving.
Yeah.
Not the intention isn't to always be receiving. It's to always be giving and to inspire joy and to inspire celebration. And there's celebrations everywhere. So as a business owner, I'm like, there's always going to be celebrations.
Yeah.
So as long as we can accommodate them,
that's
we'll be in
great.
business.
Well, and you know, you're not new. I mean, 3.5 years, like that's
3.5 years.
That's longer than most businesses survive. So all these quote unquote newbies are not really that new anymore. But you mentioned before we started recording, like it's very important to you to kind of know who came before you. So talk a little bit about that, how you got to know the balloon industry and maybe the older balloon industry. Like it didn't start during COVID. I think a lot of people genuinely think balloons were a thing over COVID and that's where it came from. But like there are people who have been doing this for 35, 40 years.
Yeah. There are people that have been doing this for 35, 40 years who are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like really, really cool people. And around the studio, I call them legends. So there's a few different legends that I talk about and like refer to very often. And so, but the intention there is to also make my team familiar with like, we're not the legends.
Yeah.
We just got here. We've been in this for 3.5 years. Some people just started on my team 6 months ago or 3 months ago. But I think that it's so important to be humble in the approach in the industry to understand that what we create has probably already been created before. But also a lot of the products and the things that we're appreciating were created by these legends who are still in the industry working it every single day.
Yeah.
So I just felt that it was really important to make myself familiar with some of these people, especially the local ones. If there were trainings, like I attended a Chris Potts training in New Jersey.
What a legend. He's one of my legends, man. The Potts.
He's one of my legends
is a queen. For sure. They're so
Come
good.
on. Both of them, they are just the kindest, most generous with their knowledge, powerhouses that, you know, there's a lot of direction with newbies. Like we are showing that what we created is really cool. We have Instagram now. So we have this platform to show, you know, I'm going to show this star point wall. People are asking me all the time, how do I build this? What do I do? How did I get there? And I'm not at this point asking for money for sharing that information because I didn't invent it.
Right.
I understand that it takes time to share that information and my time is valuable and it's worth money, but I also think it's just as important that as an industry, we're showing like, yeah, we don't just do like helium bouquets. We do these incredible installations and I want other people to be able to share that just like the legends do. So I was like, we got on this whole StarPoint kick at our studio. We were like, okay, we can reuse this product. We know how to work with it now. We can create multiple different items. It's profitable. We're doing great with this. So I go to the Chris Potts training. And then while I'm there, I'm gifted a stack of Images magazines. And not everyone knows what those Images magazines are because they don't even come out anymore. They stopped producing them. But I'm flipping through these magazines with Allie from Charming Garlands. And we're looking at them like, oh my gosh, look at this stuff. Like, look at these people. Look at what they created 15, 20 years ago. And I'm flipping through and it's like, oh, StarPoint wall. And I'm like, who did that? And it's Rocky Toomey. And I'm like, Rocky Toomey from Rhode Island? Like I met him at ILEA. My husband and I are going to have dinner with him next month. He has been in the industry since 1983.
Mm-hmm.
Since before I was born, he was doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. It is hard too. And I think it's a fine balance. And I don't really know what the right answer is, but I do think you should offer credit where credit is due. But then I think sometimes it's so like, well, first of all, I have been like, I wouldn't say attacked, but people have kind of come after me on Instagram, like, you should credit this person. And like, they're wanting me to credit someone who's been in the industry for like 3 years. It's like, well, I didn't learn it from that person. I learned it from someone who taught it 8 years ago at a convention, and they learned it from someone who taught it 15 years ago. So I do think there is this misconception of people wanting to claim things. So my advice is like, first of all, it probably has been done before. And second, even if you like quote unquote invented something, it's very possible for someone to have also had that same great idea completely separate from you. Like I have come up with things where I'm like, oh, this is so innovative. Oh my gosh. And someone else has also come up with that same exact thing because we're all creative, right? Like we all find solutions to these problems. So I think, wanting like to claim something as your thing, it's hard to do right now. I mean, like there's a lot that's been done.
Yeah. And it's, we believe within Elevated Impressions that ballooning is an artistry. We do genuinely believe that it is an art. I'll go to bat for that any day of the week. But if you look at an artist that paints and they use the same brush as someone and they use the same paper and they use the same acrylic paint and the same color, and you see a brush stroke or you see a color combination and start to attack that artist because you use the same brush stroke and the same color combination, we're losing the integrity in the field.
Right.
We're losing the integrity as artists because there are only so many things. There's a lot you can do, but let's be humble and say, but there are also only so many things. And I always say to myself, like, what makes me think I'm so brilliant that I invented this?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Right.
I probably didn't.
Well, I think it goes both ways too. I think there are some veterans who are like, organic doesn't take any skill. And I totally disagree. I think organic takes a ton of skill. Like I can see good organic and bad organic, or at the very least, efficient organic balloon decor and really inefficient. Like there are people that can make something look good, but if it takes you like 4 hours, that again then cuts into your profit and your business efficiency. So I do 100%. think that it can come back on the newbies as a negative as well. And I don't think that's fair either.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think that's fair either. And if you look at organic, we build our organics 100% completely different than you build yours.
Right.
We don't do the nuggets. We don't do what Charming does. We don't do what Confetti Castle does. Ours is different, but it's what works best for us and our team. And that's what we do.
One of the things I wish someone had told me earlier is that there's like a million different ways to do it right. I think I was very concerned with like doing it right. I wanted a good foundation. I wanted all the building blocks. I started with classic. I knew how to stack columns and I'm really glad, but even within that, there's a million different ways to do everything and it's correct. There's a lot of ways to do it poorly, but there's a lot of ways to do it really, really well. So I think getting defensive about like which technique's the best and which one's better. And like, I like knowing all of them because sometimes I ditch my technique and I do someone else's garland technique for a certain 100%. Application. Hey friends, the next time you need to order supplies for your professional balloon business, head over to Havin' a Party Wholesale. They carry all of the brands that we love and need to run our profitable balloon businesses, and they are family owned and operated, and they know the business inside and out. They've even offered listeners of the podcast a 5% off coupon code when you use the code BRIGHT at checkout. So next time you need to order, head over to havenaparty.com. It's just like being open to that. One of the things I heard recently that has stuck with me is I'm in a business mastermind, and someone said that their motto for their business is stay curious. And I don't know where that came from, and they took it from someone else. But I do think of people like Chris and Marlene Potts as like the poster children for like, stay curious. Like they know so much, but they were just at the Tough Techs experience. Like
they sure were.
Learning more.
I was with them as much as I could be.
Yeah.
Because I just think that, I even told them like, I'm going to, permission to grill you with multiple questions. Chris is like, give me whatever you got. And he's so happy to share whatever intelligence he has about the industry.
Yeah. Who else are your legends? Do you have a couple people?
Yeah. I've got some good legends actually. So I have Rocky Toomey, who's Future Affair Productions in Rhode Island. In 1983, he started in Honolulu, Hawaii with his very, very first balloon shop, and he was just delivering balloons to make extra money.
Yeah.
He ended up closing that, moving to the US, and he's been in the biz since 1983, and he does large scale productions now, but always does balloon decors in addition to that.
Huh.
So he's just a super cool person from, been in the industry with, Qualitex and all these brands that opened up different like warehouses and manufacturing plants overseas. He went over and helped them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's had all these experiences that are just so far beyond. I'm like the person that loves to watch Unwrapped on the Food Network.
Oh, me too. It's my favorite.
Oh, it's my favorite. I like to see how it's made. Like, show me how that gooey marshmallow is made and how it gets its color.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this industry, that's also where my curiosity comes from. It's like, I want to know as much about this as I possibly can. And I think that's what's helped me be able to provide different products and offer a pretty wide range of balloon decor.
Yeah.
So Rocky is definitely one of them. He and his wife Terry met at a balloon convention.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and so they have really fun stories about the early day balloon conventions, and I implore anyone to talk to someone, a veteran in the field, and ask them what they used to be like, because rumor has it they were wild. They were fun, educational, and wild. So it's always fun to talk to them about that. Stuart Davies, I mean, legend from Wales, in charge of the big balloon build. He's also been in the industry since, gosh, I actually don't even know, but I know that he was in all those Images magazines. So I was able to send one along to him to make sure that he had it in his
that's nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Larry from Having a Party.
Yeah.
Started in the balloon industry, created this entire business where he now sells balloons, but he understands a lot of the challenges, and when he sees new tools and things come up, like through inventions or whatever it is, he always makes sure that he has them and sells them, because he knows how much easier it's going to make everything on us.
Right, right. I feel like that stubbornness could come into, like, you don't need that. Just do it this way. Like, there's almost like gatekeepers in terms of like, no, just do it this way. But I think it's encouraging when it's like, yeah, I'll try it that way. Let's do this new tool. Let's try this new technique. Let's see if this person who's been doing balloons for like 3 days has really discovered a more efficient way to do things. Because sometimes that happens. Like sometimes I think we get in our own little balloon world vacuum, and it takes some freshness to be like, oh, that's something that people like. Like we wouldn't have figured that out. I think organic is kind of proof of that. That kind of came from DIYers. And I think classic people were like, this looks like a mess. This just looks like nothing. But because the demand was there, and that fresh kind of approach to balloons, I mean, that's made me a lot of money. Like I am definitely not going to push back against organic.
Nope. Same.
Yeah. Do you do a fair amount of classic?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Tell me more about that. What I think you and I are similar in the sense where like, I'm really in the middle. Like I started 8 years ago. So it was really at a time where all of the training was still classic. I think one of my earliest classes, I taught organic. Like I was still teaching when people were like resistant to it. Like this isn't going to last. And it's like, well, it's lasting. So now I think there's way more people who didn't start with classic. So how did you get that classic training having started a bit later?
It's really funny. It actually all circles back to Rocky and Terry Toomey. The first time I met them was at an ILEA event, and that's the International Live Events Association. They're awesome. If you have a chapter near you, I highly recommend like sitting in as a guest on one of their meetings or get-togethers. They're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I know that Tommy's Balloons, they're members of ILEA as well. So, but I was at one of the meetings as a guest, and I was introduced to them, and they're balloon gods and goddesses. Like they're legends, like I like to call them. And so in a 5-minute conversation with Terry, she's like, all right, show me your work. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh my gosh.
Oh God, I don't want to, but okay. So I show her our work, and she says, okay, you do organic. And I said, yeah. And she said, I want to tell you one thing. I put my children through college. We purchased our home. We've had an entire career. We have retirement funds. And it was all paid for from classic balloon decor.
Yeah.
And that just I go into those conversations with intention of, whatever they say, I'm really going to take heed and I'm going to listen and, figure out what I can do to try to implement that and if it's worth it. That stayed with me. It like stuck in my gut. Every time we went to do an organic, it stuck in my gut. Like, I need an arrow pole arch and I need to sell spiral columns and spiral arches. I need to. I'm scared. I'm afraid of it. I don't know. We don't know what we're doing, but we base this business off of selling things that we had no idea what to do and learning how to do them. So that's what we're going to do. And that was exactly how it happened. I had a client send a photo of a spiral, 3-color spiral arch. So I bought the arrow pole arch kit, which big up to Treb.
Yeah, right? Like he's still
Treb
creating
invented that.
things. Yep.
Yeah. And now we have 6 of those full sets, I think. Yeah, we have a lot of them because we're so reliant on them. And sold it and was like, oh, wait, we only need like 4 like quads to make this.
It's so easy. It's so fast.
It's so easy. It's so fast. And the other part was that when we split the arch in half, we were able to fit it right into the back of our vehicle. And
yeah, that's something we've never talked about on here, but like you can fit so much more classic decor because it's almost like modular, like it just fits together when you put it in a vehicle. I can fit like, I don't know, 10 columns in my car, but if they're organic, it's like half as much because they're all weird and wonky.
Exactly. And then the install is so easy.
I know.
You just take your poles, you tape them together, you attach them, you tape them together, you wrap your quad around it, and then you put it on the bases. It like couldn't be easier to use them. I guess this is like a promo for the arrow pole arch, but honestly, it is a tool that was created and has helped us be more profitable and more successful in the field. And it was created by a legend.
Yeah.
Because he saw a need for it in the industry.
Absolutely. Well, and then, I mean, I know there's still people, they're like, I just don't like classic decor. I think that's fine, but I love it. I love classic decor. I think it looks clean. I think it's satisfying because you're like, it's done, period. Like I look at it, it's perfect. It's done versus organic. You can always kind of add more. You could always tweak things. It's a little bit more subjective. So I love the straightforwardness of classic decor. Who are you mostly selling that to?
Anyone that will buy it.
So do you pitch it for like in-home birthday parties, or are you like,
absolutely,
they want organic? You just always go in. Interesting.
We'll go in with multiple options. So we have an easy order guide, and on there you'll see spiral arch, you'll see organic arch, you'll see spiral columns, you'll see organic columns, you'll see yard stakes, balloon bursts. So we give our clients the option to visualize what they're purchasing and then also see the price point for it. That's kind of how we do things. We have some like corporate clients that we know their budget for the year. So we spread out the impact. So if it's a larger event, we'll do, a more like a fuller or multiple organic arches. And if it's a smaller event that they just want to draw some attention to a doorway, we'll just do a spiral arch.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like spiral columns, I feel like I can make in 10 minutes, like 10, I mean, less than that, maybe.
Pulling the balloons,
counting
them and inflating and putting them on the pole. Yeah.
It's amazing. And it's like, sometimes I feel guilty. I'm like, I just charged how much for this, but like people can't do it. It's a mystery. It looks like magic, especially when you start getting into like different patterns. It kind of reminds me of quilting a little bit where like it looks really complicated, but if you kind of know how things go together and like piece by piece, and then if you get into recipes, it can be so easy and so streamlined and also really teachable. So like, because you have a team, I would imagine that makes it really appealing for you as well, because it takes out any of that guesswork.
Absolutely. Yep. It makes it very, very easy. And we do work off of recipes. So we can we have our lead designer, Lauren, created a spreadsheet where she just puts in the amount of colors, the actual colors, presses, and the length of whatever we're creating. And it will spit out this formula of how many balloons of each size you need.
Oh, that's so smart. I'm working on that too. I'm trying to figure out how to get that kind of into my workflow. Because sometimes when you're ordering too, you're like, it takes so long to figure out like how many I really need and the math and then make sure I have enough. So yes, I'm definitely working on those formulas as well. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, that is one of the greatest what I call a time suck. It's a necessity, but it does take a lot of time and it takes a lot of concentration too. And if you work with a team in a studio, you'll notice like I'm home today on a Friday, which is unprecedented, but it's because our studio is wild.
Yeah.
First of all, there's nowhere to go because
Yeah.
it's full of balloons. Second of all, it's loud. There's a lot going on. There's phones ringing. People are coming in and out. So, that is another interesting part of being a business owner in this industry is like the brain duality. So you have to be creative, but you also have to have the business sense.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, again, I don't know the right word to use. I don't want to say overinvest because that's not what I mean. But I do think if people have money to spend on learning balloons or learning business, I think they tend to spend it on learning balloons and they really lack in that business side. And not, when I say business, I'm not talking about like hardcore concepts. It's like systems or learning a CRM or like, because it's not the fun stuff, but it's really the stuff for me that has helped me make money and helped me survive, honestly. If it was just the fun creativity side of the business, I would have quit a long time ago because everything would have like fallen apart. Because at some point,
100%.
It's not fun anymore when you're just living in chaos. So that's why I'm always like, go to the business classes. They're not going to be as fun as those crazy distortion classes, but like you're going to make so much more money from them because you'll be able to apply the stuff and basically convert it to income versus a really, really specialized balloon technique. It's probably going to be really fun to learn, but you could probably put that on the back burner for a while
and you'll get
learn.
there.
Yeah, exactly. Once you have everything totally in line business wise, then learn the crazy stuff, then, go to the next level. But I think a lot of people start and they just never get their ducks in a row business wise, because unlike you, I think a lot of us kind of start with the creative stuff and we're just like, oh, everything else will work itself out along the way. And it doesn't work itself out. Like you have to figure it out.
Hi, this is Jeff from Balloon Suite by Asset Lab. We help balloon decor businesses bring in more sales and leads with a high-tech toolkit that includes your website, your domain, your advertising, your search engine optimization. Our plans start at $50 a month, and we'll even buy out your Wix or Squarespace or GoDaddy subscription to help you get onto a platform that's made for and optimized for your business in balloon decor. Check us out at balloonsuite.com.
Yeah, you absolutely do have to figure it out. And if you don't, you'll learn very quickly that everything that's not in place, it needs to be. It needs to be. And even especially when it comes to scaling your business, and scaling can simply mean I want to hire on another employee. And right. I have to say, Sarah, you've created so many literally free, gratuitous tools for people to listen to your podcast and get so much of the framework and foundation that they need to start their business. And even as an estate, like 3 years in, I still listen to your podcast and I'm like, oh my gosh, there she goes again.
Oh, well, thank you.
I mean, this.
It's selfish. I learn from every single interview. I already have, you want to hear my notes for you of things I'm going to steal? I love your easy order guide. I love that wording. Bursts, are those like topiaries, but organic?
They're 10 balloons. They're 10, 11-inch balloons blown to, in the summertime, they're blown to 9. In the wintertime, they're blown to 10.
Okay.
And we just make duplets and then we wind them together and make a literal burst of balloons.
Okay.
We put a 260 on the inside and then we use that 260 to tie it to mailboxes.
Yeah. Well, like Flavia called hers a poof, or other people topiaries.
Yeah. Meg from 365. I think she calls it a poof as well.
I got to get those on my menu. And then my last note is to look into my Aaliyah chapter because I'm not part of anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, I learned something from every single episode. Yay. I promise.
Yeah. We charge $12 for the balloon bursts, and we originally started at 10 and we decided to go to 12 just because there is a sizing that we like them to be.
Yeah.
But you can certainly do them organic and still have a wonderful impact. But it's 10 balloons.
Yeah. No,
it's 10 balloons.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So because I know that you are business minded, can I just ask you some rapid fire questions?
Love it.
About your business. Okay. What CRM do you use?
Well, I use 17 Hats.
Oh, of course.
Because I
didn't know if you
learned
did or not.
On Sarah Meyer's podcast that's what I should be using. So actually, yeah, Nicole. So you had interviewed Nicole from 17 Hats.
Yeah.
I contacted her immediately and became one of her onboard clients.
Cool.
It took us, we were operating very, very differently. It took us a full, I'd say 6 months to implement. And the final 3 months was beta. So we were doing our old method as well as the new 17 hats method at the very same time. And
that's
as
hard.
a business owner, that's what I believe is best for us.
Okay.
So anytime we do something new, we keep the old for a certain period of time until the new method is 100% proven.
Perfect. Okay. Next question, kind of piggybacking off of that. Do you have any like e-commerce options? Because I know 17 Hats has some online scheduling, but in terms of like going online and shopping, that's not what it's for. So I'm wondering if you supplement that with anything else.
We have not yet.
Okay.
That is going to be coming. And I get your most recent podcast was about complacency. And like, I wish I was a complacent business owner. I'm not. It's just not what I'm made of. So I'm constantly changing, the studio layout, and I'm trying to always improve efficiency, profitability, and ease of working at Elevated Impressions, just so everyone can be more happy.
Yeah.
So grab and goes. I purchased your course, did all the stuff for it. And we were like, okay, September, we're going to start doing grab and goes. Perfect. No question about it. Click and go. So we're ready to do grab and go.
Nice.
It's coming.
A quick little tip for that too. I just tweaked my website before I went on vacation. I just got back from Alaska, so I was gone for 10 days. And right before, I was like, I just feel like people aren't finding my grab and go page. Like it's buried. So right on my website now, I have like plan your event or book online. And that has been like the secret, or no, it says buy now. And it's like, that has been something that has triggered some human behavior. When I was in Alaska, I got 8 orders for grab and go garlands, and I never talked to a person awesome. And I never they weren't confused. So even after you have it set up, you can tweak little things on your website to try to get people to do what you want them to. So that's kind of opened my eyes that people really are interested in just paying without talking to me, which I am very interested in that option.
Absolutely.
So I might expand some of those offerings as well. So more to come about that. All right. Next question. Sorry. Do you have a walk-in option? Like, do you have a retail anything? Can someone walk in and buy balloons?
So when we first opened our studio, the front part of our studio was actually retail. We had like Mary Mary and Tops Malibu and all the cute stuff. And I have this theory that ballooners are goldfish, and we will grow to the size of our tank.
It's completely true. Vans and shops. We just fill them up.
We fill them up. And that's why anyone that I speak with that's like, oh, I'm having reservations about getting a van or a trailer or a box truck, or I'm having reservations about a studio and the overhead. I'm like, you got to understand that I think subconsciously you may be underselling yourself, because you know that there's a capacity that you've met. So you know what you can do to fill that capacity. And that gets it gets comfortable, and you can do it with a lot of confidence. But also, if you're feeling ready, that's a pain point. So the pain point is, I know I could be doing more, but I'm not because.
Yeah.
So I say, but if you are in a position where you're either turning down work or you're selling yourself back from where you could be, get the van.
I definitely was doing that. I was always like, no, you don't want an arch. You want columns, because like they would fit in my SUV. And now I'm like, I want like 6 arches.
Yeah. And I just call those pain points, where it doesn't cause you pain, but it causes the business a little bit of pain.
Yeah.
And what is your goal and your mission for your business? And if it's to grow, then those are the types of leaps and risks and it's not even really a risk, because you've already proven within your business that there's a demand for more than what you're able to provide. So what's the risk?
Yeah, absolutely. And I listen to a lot of Denise Duffield Thomas. She's another business mindset guru. I just love her. And she talks about some of those things as like almost like token purchases. Like, I invested in a bookkeeper and it was a lot of money. And I was like, but I'm not making that much money. So I don't know if I should spend this much. But because I believed in myself and I pay now a monthly bookkeeper, it's like, I'm not afraid to hire people because I have someone to ask about how to do that. Or I'm not afraid to move money around because I have the expert in my corner to help me. Or like, I'm not afraid of taxes because they're going to make sure that I have it figured out. So I think sometimes taking those leaps up front, that also helps in terms of the growth. Like we're afraid to grow because we don't know the answers to some of those questions. So just like a shop or a van, I think that some of those things apply to like a business coach or an accountant or an employee, like other expenses that feel
I
scary.
completely agree.
But like by not
An
having
attorney.
them in place, right? You're limiting yourself. Even like on my email campaigns, like I was on MailChimp's like free account and I knew that if I hit 2,000 people, I'd have to pay. And it was like, okay, cheapo, just upgrade now so you can blow right past that 2,000 and increase your marketing. It's like we put these little limitations on ourselves.
Yep, for sure.
Very cool.
The other, probably the platform that we're most dependent on within our business is Trello. So it's a workflow platform.
Interesting. Okay. So is that between 17 Hats and Trello, does that kind of run everything?
That runs everything. Yeah. Okay. That really runs everything.
Because I will say, I think a lot of people try to run everything through 17 Hats. And like, I don't know if that's really what it's for. Like, I'm their biggest fan, but it's not e-commerce. It's not a staff management. You're not going to do your time cards. Like, it's not for that. It's for your clients and your projects.
Exactly. And where we do have a large team, we need to be able to communicate within the team without me being there every day or without our, everyone needs a day off, which is funny because we're in peak season and like days off are funny for business owners. They don't, sometimes they just don't happen, but we all need to have healthy autonomy within our business and our employees. And when someone's constantly coming to you and asking you for answers to questions that they really should be able to source on their own somewhere, we're really not doing our employees a service.
Right.
Because they have to stop their workflow. Then we have to stop our workflow. And it takes 9 minutes to get back into a workflow. It's scientifically proven.
Right.
So every time someone has to stop and ask a question and answer a question, you're losing productivity in your day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay.
So Trello helps
my
us.
Next question.
Yeah.
And it has to do with your employees because you've mentioned you want it to be a happy place to work. I think finding good help is hard right now. I would say that autonomy sounds like it's one of the perks that you give your employees. Is there anything else like benefit or perk wise that you try to build into your company culture to keep your employees happy?
Yes. I believe in spoiling people in certain ways. What I know about management and what I now know about ownership is that there are different things that drive different people. Not everyone is driven by the same thing. Mm-hmm. So not everyone comes to work every day because they need a paycheck. Some people come to work every day because they're literally reliant on every single penny that we are providing them with through their job. Some other people just want to be a part of a team. They literally just want to feel like they are a part of something that creates something huge. Other people want their name and their stamp on their start to finish creation. And that's like fuels their hearts and like sets their souls on fire. So it's really important when you have employees or when you're in management to find out what drives these people.
Yeah.
And I spoil them. Sometimes I spoil them. We just went to the Tough Text convention. And when I was there, Lily with Creative Heart was there and, she had her belts out and I had gotten a belt, but the rest of the team hadn't gotten their belts. So when I was there, I FaceTime with them and said like, oh, pick your belt. And, because not everyone could go and be a part of it, but I wanted to bring something back for them to feel like they got something from it.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Thank you. But like we have hand massagers because working with your hands all day long, every day is really taxing. And if you talk to people, if you talk to the legends in the industry, they'll say, you need to worry about your health, your shoulders, your back, your arms, and your hands, rheumatoid arthritis, just breaking down of tendons, having carpal tunnel surgeries.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can learn a lot from these legends still. So these are the things that they're saying. As soon as I had that conversation of Rocky saying I had my third carpal tunnel surgery, I thought, oh my gosh, these employees' investment into this business could have a long-term negative effect on them. I can't live with that.
Yeah.
I can't. So what can I do to help them? So we got hand massagers. They're portable. Stick your hands in and it massages your hands and your wrists. And even sometimes if I see someone having a bit of like a Fritz day where they're, a little off, I'll say, hey, get the hand massagers, go sit for 10 minutes, just take some time, take some time. None of this needs to be done. Take 10 minutes, chill out. We also bring them in in the vehicles when we're like on our way to and on the way back from jobs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it's just nurturing people and we always say family first, and I stand by that 100%. No one's ever going to say their child's sick and have me give them backlash for it. No one's ever going to say my kid has a school field trip and I'm sorry I didn't tell you 2 weeks ago. I, as the owner, will be the person that works that shift.
Yeah.
I will be the person that takes that on. And it's because I've worked in situations where I was expected. I was told when I was pregnant, I was taking too many bathroom breaks.
Oh my gosh.
And I wasn't at the phone enough. So it's like those things stay with you.
Yeah.
And feeling appreciated and feeling valued. It's not spoiling people. I shouldn't say that. It's nurturing people in the way that they need to be nurtured. Bringing smoothies
really
in.
nice.
Yeah, bringing smoothies in when you know someone's had a really rough week personally. Work doesn't need to be the place that you come to have life be more difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I have one final question. It's a doozy, and you might not have an answer, but I'm just curious because one of the things that it's become my favorite question, because going back to this idea of these legends in the industry, many of them are still working in the industry. It's like we haven't really even seen a full cycle of people who have started in the industry, worked a full career, and retired from their job. So that's kind of my new obsession, is like this idea of an exit plan, because not many people have done it. And I think with your financial background, I'm curious, do you have an exit plan, or do you feel like you're going in a certain direction? You're only 3.5 years in, but I think some people's exit plan is that they're just going to work until they die. And that's certainly not mine. So I'm trying to figure out what is an actual realistic plan within the balloon industry where we are not all on ladders when we're 85 years old and like working until we're seriously hurting our bodies. Like, do you have an idea whether it's selling or being hands off? Like, where do you see your business going 20 years from now?
When COVID first happened and I was, the dumpster fire decimated business plan, I realized that there was such an importance in having a business coach. And I did have 6 sessions with a business coach. And the first session that I had with them, he said, "What's your exit plan?" And I was like, "Excuse me, sir."
Right. You're like, I'm trying to start.
I just got out of the bathtub crying for 3 hours and I don't know what you're talking about. And what do you mean?
You're like, I've already exited. It was forced upon me.
I haven't even entered the building. Now I'm going to exit the building. He said, do you see yourself being in the business, running it, being hands-on? Do you see yourself being in the business hands off and just getting profit from it? Or do you see yourself building this to a certain point and stepping away? And that was a big question for me. And so I built a 10-year exit plan. I am 3.5 years into my 10-year exit plan. Any people that I hire on, I let them know. I'm open about it in the community as well.
So what does that mean, though? That you will sell in 10 years or that you will be the owner in 10 years and they will be running it for you?
No, I will be selling in 10 years, if not soon. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. We need to have another episode all about this, if you're willing to share, because I don't think people are very open about this. I think it's almost like...
I don't think so either. And I don't think a lot of people...
Yeah, it's not worn as a badge of honor. It's worn as like, oh, I'm closing my shop. And it's like, no, that most other businesses, the goal is to sell. Like, that's usually the goal.
And I say, I know that I can give this my all right now. I've sacrificed time with my family. I've sacrificed money. I have sacrificed mental health. I have sacrificed physical health. I have made all these sacrifices in my life right now, knowing that I can do it for a certain period of time and knowing that I will not have to do it forever, because that's the plan I've made for myself.
Yeah.
The business can have a heartbeat. That's why it's Elevated Impressions, not Briana's balloon business.
Yeah.
It's Elevated Impressions, and the impact that we can have in our community and the profitability that we can have and the jobs that we can create and the income that can be generated to have these employees live in this community, have homes in this community, rent in this community, raise their children in this community. That's what's important to me right now. My ultimate goal is different than where I am right now. And, I get scurry. I'm not complacent. I can't stay where I am. I have all these ideas and different things I want to do. And I have to take a deep breath and say, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it today. I'm not going to do it probably within the next year, because this is what I've committed to and where I need to be.
That's amazing. I think more and more I'm becoming more comfortable with the idea that I am less of a business owner. I mean, I am, but I have essentially made myself a job. Like I am working the job. And I think that people would maybe look down on that, like, oh, you're supposed to be the owner and not do the job. But I'm also looking at it like I like the job. So if I do that for the same 10 or 15 years, but I need to then make sure that I'm investing that money so that I have a nice retirement waiting for me. Like I'm not really banking on a big sale one day, but I think you and I are going in a similar direction in terms of like, this isn't going to be what I do until the day I die. Like it can't be. It cannot be. It's not fair to my family. It's not fair to my body, but I still love it. And I'm not really building that infrastructure to be able to sell something. And more I'm okay with that. I kind of felt like a big loser, like, oh, I don't have all the employees and I'm not growing at that rate. But I think it's okay to build yourself a really nice, secure job that you love. And then you retire from it 1 year, like you would from a traditional job, like any other 9 to 5. You're not going to sell your position. You're going to leave one day. And you just need to make sure that you have that money saved up. But wow, you had a great answer. I did not expect you to have anything planned.
There is a great difference in the mentality of, am I doing this business to sell it, or am I doing this business to have a job to provide for today? Either way, I think you need an out.
Yeah, absolutely. And more to come on that. I don't know. I don't have a plan, but I am anyone who's listening who wants to contribute to that conversation. I just think we need more of it in our industry. I think there's not many of us that are 20 years old and have a huge long runway. Like I think most of us are 30s, 40s. Some people are in their 50s and there's no exit plan. And I think there needs to be. So I am increasingly more interested in those finances. And I want to see all my friends retire comfortably and still go to conventions because it's fun, but not teetering on a ladder when you're like a 95-year-old man.
Right. That's totally the difference in mentality that I have as well, is I'm about that balloon life. And that's another joke that we have in our studio. Like, oh, watch out. You're going to become about that balloon life. And I am. And it's the people, and it's the history, and it's the ever changing, resources that we have. And it's a niche market, and it's really cool. And the opportunities that are happening, you were throwing confetti from a rooftop in New York City on New Year's Eve.
Oh, I know. Like I know. My life is
bucket list stuff.
The things that I've done because of balloons and because of people I've met, it's like unreal. I'm basically a clown that does whatever I want, and I live the best life ever.
And it's amazing. And it's so amazing. And what a gift. What a gift it is to be able to live this life and to be able to have the opportunities to make these plans and make these goals. And I don't know. It's really, really cool. I'm grateful to be a part.
Well, Bri, thank you so much for coming on. This has been wonderful. I feel like we're not done. I feel like we could definitely chat again about lots more, but this was such a fun interview. I really appreciate your time.
No, thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate you too.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.